And I think when you have children, you realise actually it doesn't always go
that way.
how we planned.
Cilla's being nice and it's weird.
I'm going to be honest, it's freaking me out.
When they get some ideas and they decide that they want to throw themselves down the stairs, it's just like, whoa.
Honestly.
This is not how it was meant to be. You're meant to be a zen baby, humming with mummy in the mornings.
It was always 6:30 bath. 6:30 bath has got out of control. There's just a madness going on.
I had to reevaluate everything, pivot, and it was really painful.
Oh, you don't want to get in trouble with Cilla. But you change your vibe.
I still disagree.
Over.
I feel like a lot of people just don't even know what that means to themselves.
Yes. If I can get a word in with you two.
I think there's still a negotiation that happens between both parents, and sometimes values are misaligned.
And out of the blue, she was like, I want to meet my biological dad. So someone come and kill me then. That's it. In my head, I was just like, yeah, kill me then.
Hi guys, I'm Kate Ferdinand and this is Blended, the podcast where we talk all about blended families, the amazing bits, the not so amazing bits, and everything in between. I'm here with my two amazing co-hosts, Cilla and Nathalie. How are you ladies?
Good.
Whenever I ask how you are, it's a bit like,
I'm good. Yeah, because I just don't want to bring all the negativity and, you know what I mean, the humdrum of the week to the pod.
Okay.
I just want to, keep it light. I could tell you all my problems. How long you got? No, I'm all right. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm okay. Had a little bit of an eye infection situation somewhere in my specs. Didn't want to contaminate my eye makeup, but I still think I look cute. So
you do look cute.
And it's nice and sunny outside, so I feel like I can take on the world.
Okay, we're full of high spirits today. It's really good to have you here, the good vibes. I'm very tired.
Why?
Yes. Tell us why.
I said this twice now, but I don't really go out late.
Really?
And I don't know what's happened it must be being around you guys, like the energy.
It's Usher.
Yeah, it's Usher. I went to Usher for Tia's birthday and then I had to get up at 4 this morning, so I had 3 hours sleep. So it's good, but I'm a little bit tired. But it was worth it.
Was it actually her birthday that day?
No, that was just her birthday present. She wanted to go to Usher with my friend and her kids. So it was really fun to be able to party with your teenagers.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's my daughter's birthday on Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
April Borns. I mean, she wants to go to a bookshop.
Not quite Usher.
She wants to go to a bookshop and she just got her pre-order from something that we ordered ages ago, and her favourite author's coming into town, so we're going to see her.
Oh, how lovely.
So cute.
So
That
yeah,
is so cute.
it's good for me. We're nice and simple.
Yeah.
Okay, Cilla, have you got the dilemma today?
Let's get into it then, shall we? Hi, ladies. I'm expecting my first baby with my partner. He already has children from a previous relationship. I want to raise this baby with certain values, routines, and boundaries. But I'm scared to bring it up without sounding like I'm criticising his parenting. What's the best way to start this conversation? How do I make sure that we're aligned without offending him or assuming that it will be exactly the same as before?
I think she needs to avoid comparing it to what has happened in the past or his parenting style in the past. I think we had a conversation about this before, didn't we? When you were talking about having Cree and Shay, and that being the first time you and Rio experienced a pregnancy together, even though he had been through it before and had children before, you'd not done that together. So I think just avoiding comparing it to how he raised his other children and just be like, oh, let's have a conversation about our values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I originally got this dilemma, that's basically exactly what I said. I said, you don't have to mention your stepchildren at all or his parenting, but more so just put the feelers out and say, okay, so now we've got our baby now, he's here. What are our family values? How do we want to raise him? And then see what he says. And then whatever he says, you can kind of bounce off of that. Or you can kind of gauge your response based on his kind of expectations of how things are going to go. But it doesn't have to be an automatic assumption that there's going to be a difference. So just because he's raising his children with his ex a particular way, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily how he wants to raise the children or how he feels like he has the option to. And he might want to do it completely different with this child. I think for me as well, personally speaking, when I gave birth to my son, that was the first boy in our household. The older boys were the only boys that my husband had. But the way he wanted to raise boys, he didn't have the chance to because the co-parenting situation was really hard. So when we gave birth to our son, he said, well, now I can raise my son the way I've always kind of envisioned it. So it's an idea of seeing where the man is actually at, if he has any insecurities, any ideas, any excitements, and then introducing your thoughts and feelings.
It's true. And I think you're right. However, it's not that simple sometimes when the children are around the house. It depends how often you've got them. She hasn't really been specific about, the custody or how often his children are around the house.
Yeah.
And that will have an effect on the dynamic if there's different rules for different children.
Yeah.
So I do think there has to be some kind of general harmony, no?
I mean, yes. But I think sometimes it's just hard. So like when you have children outside of the home, the biological parents are doing the best they can to either keep things as samey as possible before the house broke up, or just to kind of manage the new situation that they're in. I don't think it has to be a bad thing that children are raised differently. Because, and again, this is one of the good things about being in a blended family. You might be in a house that has maybe no religion at all, but your dad and your stepmom have a religion, and you get to experience that kind of world when you're over there. Do you understand? Or culture, or food, or just ideals about the world. You get more flavor for life than you would have if you were raised in one home. So I don't necessarily think it's bad to raise a child in this house one way, knowing that your step-siblings are raised in a different way. I think the only time it might get a bit technical is I want my children to go to bed at 7, but the stepkids go to bed at 9. And it's why did they go to bed later? Those kind of things, those kind of teething problems you might have. But I think fundamentally, it doesn't have to be a bad thing raising children differently, because they are being raised by different people. The mums are different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got a slightly different situation, haven't I? So I live full-time, or did before the boys moved out, with the kids. And I think it'd be difficult to raise them differently when we're all living under the same roof and their mum isn't here. I see it I want them all to be treated fairly and the same.
It depends what she means by values, right?
By family values, yeah.
Yeah, family values.
I suppose maybe my family values are the same, but as before.
Yeah.
They must have been. If you were happy to come in, see the way the kids are being raised and think, yep, that's cool for me, then yeah, but for her, she's obviously not made it into a big deal because he's none the wiser, but she obviously doesn't really align with or agree with the way her stepchildren are being raised, but she hasn't said anything. It works for you guys, that's fine, I'm just going to be a support, that's good. But now that she's given birth to her own child, she has thoughts and ideas about how she wants this child to be raised. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I think also you learn. For me, I was a stepmom first, so I got to see how the kids were. I got to kind of learn, see what I like, see what things I might change, and then I've got a bit of experience by the time I become a biological mum.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you may change, but I think I only realised that through the experience of being a stepmom.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we can judge mums harshly. I like to see that I've had a little bit more of work experience before I become a biological mum. And I can think,
training.
Yeah, I had a bit of training.
Yeah.
Whereas, not with newborns, by the way, because
true.
I didn't know what to do with newborns.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's certain things, even when children cry and do you know what it is? It's also about generational stuff and learning more on social media about parenting that has maybe changed now the way I am with my biological children. If I'd have known all that with the stepkids, it would be the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because as time goes on, we learn more and more, and we've got so much more access to like information around parenting and things that's good for the children.
Yeah. That does make sense. I think you made a really good point before as well when you said you grew up as an only child. You didn't have a lot of children around you. You didn't have a family dynamic with lots of people in the home. So there was no like blueprint as to how that works. Like, how does that operate? And I think as you were both speaking, I was thinking about how like fluid we are even as individuals. Like as an adult, what you believe on Tuesday, March, April might not be what you believe in September. Like we change, we get new information. You might change religion. You might learn something new. You might read a book and change how you parent, and that's fine. And I think even as well, I was thinking a lot of people are, maybe saying people are in survival mode isn't right, but that's the first thing that's kind of coming to me. But it's like a lot of people are not conscious about how they parent. It's almost like they're on autopilot. So to like introduce that conversation to her partner and say like, what are our values? How are we parenting our children? He might actually welcome that. He might think, do you know what? Actually, I've never really sat down and thought about it. Like,
and I haven't had this opportunity before, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So this could be a really positive thing.
I think it really
absolutely.
is. I'm actually so proud that she even thought about that, because being in a blended family as well, it's something to consider. You don't just like when you're in a when you're in a family anyway, a lot of it has to be intentional. And if you do find yourself in autopilot, you might want to like stop and evaluate where you're at. But I think when you're in a blended family, it's doubly more required of you to like think about what it is that you want, what are you working towards, how you're going to mitigate against certain things. And I think for her, the reality and the seriousness of I'm now a biological mum has hit her, and she wants to cover all bases from the beginning. And I feel like it is such a good thing to talk about so very early on before the child even realizes that he's born. I think it's great.
I think it's really great. But also I think sometimes before we have children, we think about all these things that we're going to do with our kids and how it's going to run. And I think when you have children, you realize actually it doesn't always go
That way.
how we planned. We can try our best. We've got these core values, but sometimes we're going to dip below because it's just family life. And I think maybe also she might be more understanding towards that when she has her own biological children, because not everything runs to plan.
This reminds me of the gentle parenting memes.
Oh my God.
I'm not a gentle parenter,
Please, no.
but what I mean is you can't, nothing in life is where you want it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like some things, sometimes some things have got to give. Like I have all these ideas how I want to be really calm, want to be there for my children every day, I want to cook dinner, I want to do all these things. It doesn't happen. And sometimes I'm having a bad day. Sometimes one of the kids is having a bad day.
Yeah.
And we have to allow for things like that.
Yeah.
And I think we can be really hard on ourselves and think, God, he's having a tantrum, I can't control. Listen, they're kids.
Yeah.
Stuff goes wrong. But I think as long as the core values... Why are you giggling?
I'm just thinking because when my son was born, obviously I had the 3 girls before and they had never had a tantrum ever.
Wow,
they've never
you're lucky.
embarrassed me, nothing, until my son was born. And he would while out. And I felt like, so what, am I a first time mum? Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to react. And it just made me, as you were talking, it just made me think, sometimes you don't know what energy your child's about to bring you. They're so innocent and quiet when they're babies, but when they get a voice, when they get some ideas and they decide that they want to throw themselves down the stairs, it's just like, whoa.
Honestly.
This is not how it was meant to be. You're meant to be a zen baby, humming with mummy in the mornings, having it slow, do you know what I mean? And also it made me think as well that, obviously, I've mentioned before that I was homeschooling my kids for 8 years. And just like this academic year, they all went into school. And I had this vision about how the type of parent I wanted to be and how I wanted to raise them. But then I got sick with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And that kind of threw everything off balance. And as much as I planned and as much as I desired, unfortunately, I had to like reevaluate everything, pivot, and it was really painful and it was so sad. And I cried for so long about it. But yeah, like as much as you plan, sometimes life is going to throw you curveballs. So I think it's about having wiggle room as well. Like, having this conversation is very positive, but not to have hard and fast rules. Just be able to be, like Nat said, a bit more fluid. Like, be willing to change your mind, be willing to like listen to new ideas or try new things and just see how you fare.
Yeah, and I think what you said is really important. Like, I change my mind about stuff 24/7. We don't stay the same, do we? I change my mind on things, and I think sometimes we're held to. You said this 3 years ago. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And like, we're forever changing. Yeah. So I think that's a really important. Evolving. We're forever evolving, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
And as we learn, as we grow, as our children grow, you learn more things. Your parenting style changes over the years. I think not style. Because I know you're strict on this. What parenting style are you? Don't want to get in trouble with Cilla, but you change your vibe.
I still disagree.
Over the. I don't want to get into it, but you know. It changes. Shit changes. You have to adjust.
I would say as well, a really good way to look at it is, a really good way to communicate it potentially would be explaining why it's important to her as well. Not just these are the values, but these are the reasons why I believe that I want to have these values in the home. Just to give them a little bit more context.
Do you always know?
I think you know. I think the way she's framed the question is like, I want these values because I don't want them to have those values over there that they've raised their children with that I don't agree with.
No, I think she said she doesn't want there to be an automatic assumption that this child will be raised the way those children have been.
So that to me indicates that she doesn't want her children to be raised with those values because, as she said, she doesn't feel that it should just be an automatic thing. She's got some conversations to have. But I think just explaining why the values that she wants to bring are important to her will just give a little bit more context, like why it's important to her. Give him something else to, and that not be because your children are badly behaved.
Yeah. I think it's a level of involvement as well.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've given birth now and I feel like I have a say because I've had a biological child now, whereas maybe she didn't feel like she had a voice with her stepchildren. So it's like, oh, this is the way their parents have chosen to raise them. I have to be agreeable, or even if I'm not agreeable, like what can I do about it? I have to kind of just play the game and support where I can. But now that she's got a biological child, she probably feels like, oh, I've got say-so now. Like I've got ultimate involvement and no one can kind of like put restrictions on that. So I think, you know, as long as it doesn't slide into like a lane of like power tripping or ego, I think, I think even if you love the way your stepchildren are raised, I think it's still a good conversation to have because your voice will be valued in this. Not to say that's not the same, that's always the case, because there are some stepmoms that are fully involved with their stepkids. I'm just saying in this scenario.
The thing is, for me, I always think I come into a house where I live with my stepkids full time and I would want all of my children to feel the same. My concern in this situation is that if you have new values for the children, how do you, which is fine, and you should as a parent be able to instill those in your children, how do you stop your stepchildren feeling like they're left out of a situation?
It's almost like it's her home, it's her rules, she's queen of her castle. When you come to our house, this is how things run. Bedtime is at X o'clock. If you want to get a snack out of the snack cupboard, then you have to ask. If you have homework, then that needs to be done before you play computer or watch TV. And that's what happens in this house.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened in this house until her child's been born. So, for example, now all the rules are going to change because she's had biological children.
Yeah. Well,
so how will they feel about that?
Probably by the time the biological child, like, I don't know.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So they've got their rules when they come to their dad's house and they've got free reign, they can do what they want.
Yeah.
Stepmom's now having a biological child and she doesn't want her children to do that. So she's going to change the rules in the house. How does that affect the stepchildren? Do their rules get changed in the house?
But what would she have done beforehand? Because if she has come into a house and there's a standard to which the children are being raised, and maybe she feels like she can't say anything or she doesn't want to say anything or she has said anything and it hasn't been valued, or what was she like? Obviously she's going to have to yield. She's just going to have to like let mum and dad raise them children the way that they want to raise their children. Does she not deserve the same liberty when she has her own biological children?
Yeah, she does, of course, but then that's going to cause uncomfortableness with the stepchildren when they come around and everything's changed. Like,
but unfortunately, there's nothing she could have done though, because if she saw her stepkids and said, I don't like that they go to bed at 9, they're feral, they need to go to bed earlier because they need more sleep. And the dad's like, oh, please leave them alone. Like, they've been cool all these years before you came along. That's fine. And she's just like, oh, well, okay, fine, but not for my biological kids.
I think I'm quite lucky that Rio is on the same page as me.
Yeah.
And he agrees with what I'm saying, because I think I would find that really difficult to live in a house where it's totally against what I believe in if I'm a full-time parent.
Yeah.
And also, I would find that really difficult. So I'm lucky that we've got the same kind of core values and on the same kind of vibe.
I was going to ask, was there a conversation or a series of smaller conversations that you guys had?
Lots of small conversations about things as they come up. It's not like the kids are crazy out of control. They're not. They're lovely, polite, well-mannered children. But there's certain things that as it comes up, like, hang on a minute, you know, like, I don't like to say chores, but, you know, like wiping the table and things like that, that were introduced in order to raise children that are able to live on their own one day and are able to understand things which weren't here before. And I was the one introducing those, which of course then it's not great the stepmom introducing them, but in the long run, that's worked well. But if Rio was against that, I'd find that difficult.
Absolutely.
But I think that's the reality of many stepmoms. So that's why when they become biological parents, they feel like, now I can be the kind of parent that I've always wanted to be. And also you're forgetting that a lot of biological parents throw that in step parents' face, like, oh, you have no idea what you're doing, you have no idea what your suggestion, because you've never had a child of your own. You're just a stepmom. So it's like this idea of like having this Oz baby or having a baby from your blood. It gives you freedom, it gives you a voice, it gives you a platform, it gives you a position that no one can take away from you. So I think we cannot, I mean, to say that she's overthinking it could be true in one sense, but also it's like, how else is she meant to think of it? Because when you are a step parent, you are kind of like a slot piece. A lot of step parents do not have the option to come in and say, now that I'm here, this is the flavor that I want to introduce. Let's find a way to blend it all together. No, it's like, stepmom, come in quietly, give it a second, try and build up trust, try and build up integrity. And then when you kind of got your feet under the table, then you can start, you know, dropping some gems. And
it was like that for me. I didn't just come in and
it's
be
like that for a lot of success.
I didn't just start coming in. I don't
throwing your weight around. Yeah,
no,
that's
I didn't
what
do that. I don't mean to think I come in and start throwing my weight around. It's a gradual thing.
It's a gradual thing, but I'm saying not all step, even with the gradual, it's still like, no.
But I don't think I don't want to be insensitive. I don't think I could deal with that. I would find it very difficult to deal with that.
Absolutely. I don't think all bio-mums have autonomy either. I think that's a little bit of a romanticisation.
What does that mean, autonomy?
Autonomy, like you decide what goes on in your home and it's up to you. I think there's still a negotiation that happens between both parents, and sometimes values are misaligned. Sometimes a partner can undermine a biological mum, or just has a very different parenting style, let's say, right? And they're not aligned on parenting style. And that does happen. That's
why some people break up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, it's not, I don't think it's as clear cut, but definitely in terms of as a stepmother coming into an already set environment, you're not just you make yourself deeply unpopular if you're like, at my yard, this and this is how things are gonna run. Like, it's not going to fly.
Exactly.
It's just not going to fly.
I understand if she has been silent, why? It's not as it's a thing of like, I don't want to be a part of the raising of these children, or I disagree with the way they're being raised and I just don't want to say anything. It might be a thing of like, I'm biding my time here, but she just happens to be a biological mum now, and she's already had thoughts of how children should be raised and what she would like to do as a mum and things like that. I think it's so healthy to have this conversation.
Definitely.
And to say, by the way, like never said it before, but this is kind of where I stand on parenting. And you never know, it might be a thing where they start to implement, you know, her way of thinking or their kind of compromised way of thinking towards the stepchildren. But I don't think, when you're in a blended family, I just don't think you should ever leave anything to chance. I don't think it's a thing where something has cropped up and now we're talking about it. We should have spoken about finances, family values, belief systems, you know, how we want to present ourselves, how the children is to present themselves like as a unit, like all these things you need to talk about it beforehand.
I feel like a lot of people just don't even know what that means to themselves.
Yes.
Do you know
I was
what
just
I mean?
going to say
I agree.
as well. I was going to say
100%.
that, if I can get a word in with you two, is that you don't agree all the time anyway. Like, you have your pet, you agree on this way that you're going to bring up the kids, and you're going to come into certain things over the years that you are not happy with the way that each other do it.
Yeah.
And you're both going to pull each other up on it.
Yeah.
So I don't want her to go into it thinking that we're going to make these values
And it's going to stay.
and this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's not always perfect. And I think that's just part of like life and parenting and like coming to some kind of understanding.
I agree with
Definitely.
that.
Yeah.
But everyone knowing that expectations is basically where I'm at. I know what I expect of you. You know what, you know, to expect of me. But like, yeah, let's just now do life and see how we fare.
Yeah.
I think another thing that could happen as well is she could say, oh, I was thinking maybe we could try this with the children. Like, if it's a different
Make
bedtime.
suggestions.
Yeah, make suggestions. And it doesn't have to be final, but, you know, how about if we tried this and perhaps we would get this result? Or I've noticed that the children are quite, just using an example, they're quite unsettled in the evenings. So how about if we start winding down around this time? I feel like maybe making the suggestions so they're not like, this is the finite way that I want my household to be run, and rather, oh, I feel like maybe we could make some improvements by introducing or trying some new things. Maybe he'd be more receptive to that.
Yeah. And even like, I think I do that even now. My little kids, they go to bed at 7:00. I always used to bath them, and the routine, it was always 6:30 bath. 6:30 bath has got out of control because everyone's really tired and it's absolute carnage. Like I said, Cree's falling off the bath, he's splitting his... There's just a madness going on. So I think every now and then we're like, right, we need to do something different here because this is not working.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're trying 5, coming from school, straight bath, we're clean. You just try different things.
Yeah.
And I think it's not enough, you don't take offence to these, like... You just don't be precious about stuff.
Exactly.
I think that's the main thing. Like, I'm going to make suggestions with the big kids.
Yeah.
And I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But I might be right. And we might be, God, that's great for us, isn't it? It's made life so much easier.
Exactly.
I think with like, Cilla's pulling her face.
No, I agree.
With
For
like
once.
biological parents, you think that their way is the only way. I'm open to any kind of suggestion from anyone. If it sounds like a good thing, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a parent. But like you say, stepmoms are made to feel at times like their suggestions aren't right because they don't know how to parent. You don't need to know how to parent to... You don't need to have had biological children to be able to make suggestions in regards to
care for
bedtime
someone,
or
yeah.
to love someone or to
Absolutely.
make changes to routine that might help.
Yeah.
And parents need the help because sometimes when you've had children, you're exhausted. You can't see straight. Sometimes you do need a little bit of advice and a little bit of a shift in pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
Shock horror. Everyone agrees. You heard it here. Do you know what it is? We're talking here and it's all a bit nicey, you know.
Cilla's being nice and it's weird.
I'm going to be honest, it's freaking me out. Cilla's being really nice.
Cilla's like...
She's like, yeah. I'm waiting for
gentle, softly spoken voice.
No, honestly, I don't know how to handle it. I like when you're a bit like, I know where I'm at with you. Yeah. So listen, we're all being a bit nicey, like, you know, bedtime at 7. Oh, we're going to give it a go.
Yeah.
What if there's things that are non-negotiables for you? Like, you know, circumcision, children getting circumcised. And one of you's like, this is absolutely my religion. I want this to happen for my child. And the other is that straight out, no chance in hell is this happening. Because if Rue come to me now, I hope he's not going to, and said Crean should have needed to be circumcised, there is no way on earth that is ever happening. And I can't meet in the middle with that one. What do we do in these kind of situations?
Toss a coin. No, I'm joking.
And honestly, it's so hard. Obviously, if we're going to talk about circumcision, coming from me, like as a Christian, it's not as religious as people think anymore. Like back then, God kind of mandated it to separate his people from everybody else. But now through Jesus Christ, like we're all his people. So that's fine. Like we don't need that marker. People go ahead and still circumcise culturally. And sometimes because they might not understand that we don't need to do that anymore, right? So I think I understand circumcision, but I understand those who choose not to as well. But I think if it was imposed on me, so like, it's really hard.
Should I give another example? Because it's just something that is a hard no.
Do you know what I'll say? I'll say this, yeah. In my house, we're all going to church on Sunday. We're all going. I'm not leaving any man behind. We're all jumping on the ship. We're all going to church. This is our routine. This is how it is. If certain people came into my sphere, we're going to church. You're missing football.
But really, so this is like the kids. This is a big one because like football's big in my house. We can't miss football. It's, the kids love football. It's what they want to do. They're going to make a career of this. You're going to stop them playing with their team on a Sunday to go to church.
I understand being steadfast and non-negotiable in your relationship with God and placing God at the centre. Totally get that, 100%. I think there has to come... I think the question that I was going to ask you is, at what point do you say to your child, it's up to you as whether you want to go to church or whether you want to go to football? Because I think there can come a point when a child gets to about 11, 12, 13 years old, where if they're being prevented from doing something that they really love, to have to go to church, that they will end up resenting the church. And I've seen that in friendship groups with family members, etc., over the years. So I think there's a point to which where, as a parent, you can dictate without there being some kind of consequence or backlash where it's actually impacting the child quite negatively.
But what would be the consequence or backlash?
The consequence or backlash would be that they would resent church. They would resent going to church.
But then I've also seen the opposite, where children are so trustworthy of their parents, where their parent says, no, I trust it, where their parent says, yes, they trust it as well. So I think that's a case by case. But at the end of the day, back to this blended family situation, when you're raising a family, the kids have to know what kind of family they come from.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ebb and flow.
I don't know, I think when it comes to passion, yeah, and things like football, just sport, football, music, dance, theatre, growing up, just going off of my lived experience, these are things where when children get to a certain age, if your parents prevent you from going down that path of doing the thing that you love, the thing that makes you feel alive, that your friends are doing, that's your community. You know, when you go to school, your community is your friends who are all going to football on a Sunday. And that's not to say that God doesn't need...
But where would the no come from?
The no would come from the parent that's like, no, you're not going to football training.
You're not going on that day.
You're coming to... But if that's the day, right? Because it's usually a Sunday, isn't it? Or Saturday, where kids go and play football. So if a parent is like, once the child gets to a certain age, and I think that age is probably about 11 years old, if you prevent children from doing what they love, okay, you're not going to football, you're not going to theatre school, you're not going to dance, you have to come to church. That child will come to church and just resent everything about going to church because they will want to be doing...
I think it's easy to come to this conclusion, especially if maybe you've seen it a lot.
Definitely.
But I've seen the opposite of it quite a lot. Do you understand?
And I wasn't in the church, to be fair.
Right, and I was raised in the church, and it came to a point where I had realised that I'm not here because of me, I'm here because of my mum. And then I start asking questions and deciding where I want to be at. And I made the decision for myself at 18 that I wanted to be a Christian. So I think children, as far as I can see, children always have room to work it out. Do you understand? But at the end of the day, like even putting church aside, if your family are doing this thing, everyone should be doing that thing as well, because your parents have set
Yeah,
the
this
balance.
isn't really about church. I feel like we've made it
It's
about
not.
church. This is about
church. Family.
This is about
and
family values.
It's about family, and it's about family values. And the children actually, for a period of time, will fall in line with that.
Yeah.
They are being taught how to be people, how to be members of society through their family and their family values. They're being taught how to make things important, how to be negotiable, how to be non-negotiable. That's what you're learning at home, and every household would be different. So it's when I come into that as a step parent, if I disagree with these values, we need to either have a conversation, or like you said, you're going to be very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it's easy to say, we have a conversation at the beginning and this is what we're going to do. But things change. Like, circumstances change. And there's many things that I said I wouldn't do that I end up doing based on the children's needs. And I think to stay firm in what you said and not be open to movement causes like issues in a relationship.
Needs versus wants. Wants also do change. Desires also do change as well. So it's like if then everything changes really. What stays the same? What is the sure thing that I can stand on? And for most children, that sure thing is their parents, until their parents prove that actually you're very unstable for me.
And I think this is where it gets a bit techie, right? So to make that stability, you can count on your parents until you say to your parents, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, which we do as a family. When children get to a certain age, I want to go to dance class, right? It's not versus church. It's versus going to aunties on a Sunday.
Yeah.
That we all do as a family. It's what we do as a family. If that then means that your relationship with your parents is going to become fractured, that maybe love is going to be withdrawn, it's going to become difficult, there's going to be disharmony because you have asserted, when children start to find their identity and find themselves and make decisions, find their autonomy around what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
I think there's a point, and I think it's probably at around 11, 12, 13 years old that children just start to kind of assert themselves, and you have to allow children to explore who they are rather than say, no, we're a family and we do this. I feel like that can be quite damaging almost.
No, you can, but there's this assumption that if you say to a child no, it becomes damaging for them.
No. If a child says to you no, and then it becomes damaging to them because they're asserting themselves. They're saying, no, I know this is what we do as a family, but I don't want to do that.
But then if your parents then say, but this is why we do this as a family and I want you to still do it, then, there are children that are like, okay, mum or dad, I've understood. Thank you for letting me share my thoughts and opinions on it. That's fine. Like, there are some kids that will probably rebel and there's some kids that don't. There are some kids that can talk about their thoughts and feelings and there's some kids that cannot. I think that's fine. Even for me, like growing up, my mum, she was not a mum that let me share my thoughts and my feelings. And there were things that my friends were doing that I was not allowed to do. And I'm sure if I had a stepdad, he'll probably be on my mum's side. And then when I grew up and felt like I could do these things now, I didn't turn around and think to my mum, you've ruined my life, or like these opportunities that I had to go and do these things with my friends have been lost on me because now I'm old and I can do it if I want to. So I go ahead and do it if I want to.
I was the opposite. I was the kid that really rebelled. Like I really rebelled. So I'm very conscious now of, obviously we know your parenting style and your parenting style of like having that, like listening to the child. Listen, they're not always going to get what they want. Sometimes it is a hard no, and it's an absolute no. We're not doing that. This is the plans. But also, I'm nervous to no when they're really trying to have a like communicating their feelings. And actually, maybe sometimes we have to try this because I don't want my children to rebel as I did.
Yeah. Same.
So for me, it's like the integrity of parent and child relationship is to say that sometimes it will be a no and sometimes it will be a yes. But in all these things, I want you to trust me. How do I build up trust in that? And that's what I have right now with my children.
Yeah, I
From
get
my
that.
14-year-old all the way down to, he's 4. Down to my 4-year-old. It's a thing of like, I don't like that my mum has said no, but I trust her. And I remember one pivotal point was when my daughter was turning 10. And out of the blue, she was like, I want to meet my biological dad. So someone come and kill me then. That's it. In my head, I was just like, yeah, kill me then. But I had to sit down with her and tell her, like, ask her, like, why? Why now? Like, what is it? And there's only so much that a 10-year-old can articulate. But I was curious because to me, it just came out of the blue. She told me her reasons. I understood. But based on what she was saying to me and what I know of her, I said to her that you're not ready. You're going to expect things that I don't believe that you're going to receive, right? So let's give it some time. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying not right now. And if ever you want to ask me this question again, come ahead and do it without the assumption that it's going to be no. But for this period of time, it's a no. Yes, she was a bit like, oh, kind of thing. That's not what she expected me to say. But she said, all right, mum, like, I trust you. And that is from our family, like, beliefs and core. Like, I'm not your enemy. I'm your guidance. I am your foresight. I am your wisdom at this moment in time. Trust me. She trusts my yes. She trusts my no. It's never ever to harm her. Will she like it all the time? Absolutely not. Because there's things that she wants to try before I know that she's ready. And don't get me wrong, there's some things she wants to try and I'd rather she didn't, but I know I have to let her. And so I will let her with nervousness. Like the first time she went to go and buck her friends on the high street, I didn't want her to go, but I felt like, okay, fine. And this year for Mother's Day is the first Mother's Day that she was without me. Everyone in my household knows that Mother's Day is more important to me than my birthday because my whole life is devoted to my family. So everyone really should be around me on Mother's Day. It's my day. But she was so upset about something and she needed to be with these particular friends and one was traveling, you know, that Tuesday. And I think Mother's Day was on the Sunday. And I let her go. Did I want to let her go? No. Is it a tradition that you shower mummy with love on Mother's Day? Absolutely. But I know in that moment in time, she needed something different. That's fine. We have that dialogue and that's what it's about. It's not about dictatorship. It's not about I say what, I say who. It's not about that. It's about raising your children to be particular people and to trust you as they grow. And it's about thinking in the blended family, how does a step parent come into that and add to that? How do they navigate that? And I don't think that a step parent can begin to add themselves into that kind of circle without establishing what are the values here. And these are my values.
Yeah, and like you said, a child has to trust you.
Yeah.
They have to trust that you're doing what's best for them. So for a step parent, that takes time. Any relationship takes time to build trust.
Yeah.
Even us three sitting here, it takes time to build a relationship.
Yeah.
So you can't expect a child to come in and you set new rules, new boundaries, no's and yeses, and they trust that you're doing it from a good place.
And in this scenario, she might not have that trust of her stepkids. You never know. Yeah. She might not have that trust. So she feels like, I can say, but it doesn't mean things will change. So now that she's got her biological child, who's going to tell her anything? No one.
Yeah, and to be fair, my stepchildren, Lorenz is 18, Tate's 16, Tia's 13. I would say it's only in the last 2 or 3 years that really they're getting older. They understand that my no's are from a good place. Not just because I want to say, no, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's because these are the reasons. And most times I wouldn't just say no anyway. I don't say no, you're not doing it. I say no, and this is why. But when they're maturing, I don't think you're going to tell a 6-year-old no, and they're going to go, oh, okay, I understand, I trust you. They're like, I want to go to my mate's house. Yeah. So it just takes time.
Mine are.
You've got good kids.
Honestly, mine are. And I think maybe it's a bit different because my kids were homeschooled. So we spent a lot of time together. But literally, like she wanted to go on a trip. All her friends were going, and I said, I don't want you to go. And she was just like, all right, cool. Well, then if I'm not going, then can I stay at home?
That is unique though, because I don't feel like that you've built something really great there, but I don't think that's like universal.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. But this is what I'm saying. This is your home. This is my home. This is everybody else's home. Everyone do the best they can within their homes and have an intention and work towards that. It's not always going to be easy. And I remember when I first started homeschooling my eldest child, we didn't like each other. I felt like I didn't even know her. She didn't really even know me. It took a long time to build the kind of relationship that we have now. And now for me, it's all about maintaining it and making it grow even more.
Yeah.
Do you feel like homeschooling the children is part of the reason why you've been able to create the type of environment and the trust that you have together?
I don't know. I feel like it might be a bit naive for me to say no. I think probably yes. I can't really imagine if there was like now, I don't see them the day is split where they're gone half the day and I'm with them the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have that much impact on any of them in their respective ages unless I had, just based on the way I am, maybe no. Maybe no, I don't think so. And I'm not saying this as the average parent. I'm just talking about me, Priscilla. Maybe no. And the only thing that I can maybe like evaluate it from is that before my eldest daughter, she was in school up until she was in year 2, I think, before I pulled her out. And like I said, we didn't get along. I used to make her cry all the time. She used to make me cry. I remember I used to leave the house thinking like, what is wrong with this child? Like I didn't get it. And it took a long time for us to learn each other and be around each other for long periods of time. Whereas before she would be at school half the day and with me the rest of the day. And I think, I just didn't know her as much as I thought I did until she was at home with me from morning till night.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. But then I think I look at my stepkids because they're like the older ones that you can have these type of conversations with, and I think they haven't been homeschooled, and I think there's so much respect and like love and understanding. And I think even though obviously they're out half the day and then even they've got their clubs, I think more of that is built over going through things together.
Yeah.
Doing things and getting through situations.
Being vulnerable. Even like the hard times are sometimes where that's built even more. It's not in the everyday moments. Yeah. It's when life gets hard and you're there for each other that you build those really special bonds. Definitely.
You can achieve
Trust.
all these things in many different ways. You just have to find out how you want to do it in your household.
Yeah.
I think like everything, it's just come down to communication.
Yep.
There's going to be things you don't agree on. There's going to be things you do agree on. And there's going to be things that you say you want for your children and then it changes as time goes on.
Yeah.
And we're never going to fully 100% agree. But it's down to communicating, talking about it, the family values and being really clear on that, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Give it time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like you pop out these babies and everything changes overnight.
I do think though, when you're growing a baby, you're thinking about so much what I'm going to be like. You're really like thinking about being a mum. So she's probably thinking about all of these things.
Because it's her first baby. She'll simmer down the second one.
So be easy on yourself. When you're carrying your first baby, it's really emotional. You're thinking about, it's a new life and you're bringing a new life into this world. It's a really like special moment. Enjoy it, communicate. So that is it for today. Please remember to follow Blended on Instagram and send in all your questions to there. We really need you to subscribe and please comment to get the interaction up because we need everyone to see these conversations. We'll be back at the same time next week. So lots of love. Mwah.